Before I begin this little debate, I just want to tell everyone that because of this video's length, it's going to be split into 2 parts. So for those of you who are looking for part 2, there'll be a link in the description. Now with that out of the way, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, my name is Imperatordavius and I am here once again bringing you another tactical debate. And this time, joining me for this lovely topic of Pokemon genders is the one and only Monty. Hello, Monty.
Hello.
Alright, just so everyone knows, Monty is a good friend of mine. She's also a Pokemon fan. She's probably a die-hard fan. She's probably played it a lot longer than me, maybe.
I started Pokemon in the Ruby Sapphire when I was 9, and then I got into competitive in the Diamond and Pearl days. I used to actually play in tournaments, and now I'm a shiny hunter in the newer games.
Ooh, shiny hunting. But now you talk with the Reshiram with a Fedora on his hand. Not hand, head. There we go.
And I talk to significantly inferior legendary Pokemon.
Let's keep the topic on this. Don't make this another debate. Alright, now.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get back to what we were talking about. Actually, I was about to explain what we were talking about. Oh my goodness. You're cutting me off my train. But in any case, today we're going to be talking about all this hate coming towards with Sun and Moon coming out. There's one sad member of the starting trio that has been getting the short end of the stick. Let's just put it that way. Poor Popplio. Popplio's gotten the short,
as the internet would probably like to call it, Popplio.
It's poor Popplio in my opinion. But in any case, Popplio and its newest evolution, Brionne, that was released like about 1 week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, has just gotten so much hate. I mean, I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but there have been a lot of people very disliking the Pokemon line so far.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone...
I mean, for me, in terms of it, you look at the 3 starters. You got an owl, you got the seal, and you got the you got the tiger. It looks like it's going to be tiger.
Just so everyone knows, the Pokemon in question is going to be on screen. Hey, there it is right now. I mean, you don't see it right now, Monty, but they see it. They'll see it. So, first Pokemon I'm talking about, yes, is Popplio. Poor Popplio, the sea lion Pokemon. And when he was first released, everyone thought he just sucked. In all honesty, I was at first one of those. It didn't look like a Pokemon that I would want as my starter, but after looking at the little guy for a while, I just can't find a reason to hate him next to the owl and the kitten. I can't find a reason to hate the little guy, but apparently everyone else does. Apparently he's too goofy to be qualified as a good starter. What's your opinion in this manner?
I think a lot of it has to do with comparability. I mean, you look at, Owlet and how that design is quite uniform, quite well done. And then you look at Litten and besides the name, that one has got, the effect that Eevee and Vulpix and those, those types of Pokemon have. But they're kind of cute and also have that kind of cool edge to them. I think Popplio is just... I feel like it's another attempt at making a Magikarp, or not Magikarp, but Mudkip. Remember how Mudkip was kind of, it was a meme.
Yeah, I remember Mudkip.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the angle they were going for, but seeing in the previous generation, even Froakie, I argue, and especially Oshawott, was just I don't want to say they're boring designs, but there's too much going on, and I feel like whoever's in charge of designing specifically these water starters doesn't know what to do, Because if you look at the design, I mean, first of all, something about the eyes consistently through these designs is problematic to me. They, unlike Litten's evolution of Torracat and Dartrix, I mean, the eyes are exceptionally complex and it just seemed to distract from the actual form itself. And I don't know, overall the designs are both sort of boring where they shouldn't be boring, but too much information in areas where there shouldn't be too much information. Now, at the same time, in terms of in terms of Pokemon, you know, I mean, look at Garbodor. Garbodor had and
Oh my goodness, poor Dark Garbodor. I don't.
I mean, like, I still don't think Garbodor is a good design. There are people out there who love Garbodor for whatever reason, and you know what?
To each his own. To each his own.
All the power to them. But it's like, you know, people are going to enjoy this thing. I mean, already looking at, you know, reference pictures for this, I mean, there's fan art. People seem to like it, but, you know, there's going to be discourse. People are going to hate designs. And honestly, the hate is, in terms of, like, responding to a design, is legitimate. They're not terrific, and that it's all because of comparison. I mean, when I saw the first trailer and it was like, oh, an owl, and oh, a cat, and what the heck? Like, it was very like, whoa, you know? It wasn't so much, whoa, I hate it. You know? It was, whoa, and then,
I believe you said that like 3 times now. I think we get the message.
Yeah. But, yeah. As for the evolution, I mean...
Yeah, now moving right along onto the next picture. Obviously, you don't see it right now, but hey, there it is right now. There it is. It's on screen. It's Brionne. Yes, poor... Now we move on to the next one that has gotten people in a... Let's just say their Jigglypuffs aren't exactly very happy right now there.
God,
I mean,
it's... Say it. Like, what an ugly design. Like, I mean... It's not terrible, like, there's worse Pokemon designs, but...
It's not the worst design, but it does have that, as everyone says, it's too girly. I mean...
there's nothing wrong with that.
The reason why that a lot of people are getting, you know, upset with this one, because it's too feminine for a Pokemon, apparently, for a starter. And I guess... sort of in that respect, I mean, perhaps, but I think the reason why people are just so upset with Brionne at the moment is because you probably know the gender ratio of the starters, correct?
Gender ratio, yeah. Well, it's
87%, 87.5% male to 12.5% female. So the chances of you getting a Pokemon of the correct gender, or at least in terms of the starters, is not really good. I mean, you'd have to be soft resetting specifically for a girl, unless...
Yeah, and I mean, going back to, you know, I do a lot of shiny breeding, but I used to breed a lot of Togepi's for wonder trading, and that Pokemon, I think, has like a 10% female ratio to male ratio, and I mean, usually about 2 eggs, like that's about 10 resets, you usually would get a male for the most part. So I mean, I wouldn't see it being impossible for people if they really want a female one, and I definitely would think it'd be great. I mean, even if it's a male one, we don't know what the final form is just yet unless it's been released. So I mean,
there are a lot of leaks, but I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the people who are watching this, they'll probably know what it is, but I'm not going to spoil anything. At least for those who don't want to be spoiled, and obviously for you, Monty. Because, you know, I'm the Reshiram here, and I don't want to hurt people. I'm only seeking the truth here!
I was going to say, if you look at Snivy's final evolution, I mean, that one is arguably, like, I'd say it's...
very noble, but at the same time, it doesn't have that, you know, air of being too male, but at the same time, it looks like it can be male and female at the same time.
Yeah. I say arguably Braxton is the starter. That's
actually one of the next Pokemon that we're going to talk about later on. But moving on to our first case, you know, we're gonna be talking about, you know, how Pokemon look, into what we would picture them to be in terms of gender ratio and such. We're gonna be taking a look at the internet's probably first waifu, as everyone says, Gardevoir. There's Gardevoir on the picture. Everyone sees her, and there you go.
She's a classic. So,
yes, when everyone sees this, they think very girly. I mean, it does look like a very attractive woman in a dress. But, fun fact, 50-50 ratio. Gardevoir can be male or female. And you don't see the internet exploding as much on that.
Yeah,
I mean, heck, in Emerald... I think it was an Emerald or something. Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, those games. I believe one of the rivals, Wally, not much of a rival back then, but he used a male Gardevoir. nobody seemed to complain about him.
Yeah, I feel like especially the divide came clear when Gallade was released with Diamond Pearl. But I mean, I had a male Gardevoir, and I mean,
Nobody
besides nicknaming him, I don't like. I mean, even then, you can kind of cheat. Nobody
was, no, there wasn't as much hate on the Gardevoir line, just because it could be male as well, despite looking very feminine.
At the same time, though, I mean, comparing Gardevoir to, Brionne, is that Gardevoir is by far a more well-done design. I mean, the color balance is great. You have the red on the center, piece, and you have the red in the eye. It's kind of a good balance. And then, you go and you look at Brionne's colors and add, things that are like that, those little, I don't know, little,
but
waist tutu thing. Like, those things, it's like Gardevoir's design. Hair, body, has that nice green trim on the arms, has that nice green trim on the inside, that red. It's uniform, and it's a good design, and it's clear, and it's got that feminine touch to it, which is fine. That's great. But you look at Brionne, and Brionne
looks like a pop star. I mean, that's what the Pokemon is supposed to look like, a pop star.
Yeah, but it's all over the place. Like, you got, the 3 tutu things. You have the red nose that doesn't balance out with anything else. You have the eyes that are far too detailed in response to the more simplified body. So, I don't know. I think that's the big difference between the two of them, and probably might be why Gardevoir is more successful than Brionne, maybe.
Well, don't worry, Brionne. I still like you. I like the Popplio line, I'll just admit it here. But that's enough about my opinion. Now we're going to move on to our next Pokemon in question in terms of, we all look at it, we think female, and that is Lopunny.
I actually had a Lopunny in my competitive team back in Diamond Pearl.
And what was its gender?
It was, I actually don't know. I think it was female. I'm not sure, because I know this one has different ratios as well.
I believe no, maybe.
The reason I don't know that actually is because I didn't nickname it, so didn't matter really when I caught it. I was like, oh, I love it. I wanted to know high jump kick. I wanted to learn Blizzard, and I wanted to bust dragons for me. So, I mean, that was the biggest thing for me. But I think Lopunny, back when Lopunny was released, it was much different. I think there was, especially for me, when I first saw Lopunny...
I hate to interrupt you, but in terms of gender ratio, Lopunny is 50-50 male-female.
Yeah, there you go.
So, again, another Pokemon that looks very feminine. I mean, it's based off of a Playboy bunny. I think that's the idea there. It's based off the Playboy bunny or something.
I think it's based off of, there's, what are they called?
But it definitely does have that, Playboy bunny aspect to it. I mean, it's very cutish. That's pretty much what a lot of people, on the internet have unanimously said. It looks like a Playboy bunny.
Yeah, and I bet a lot of those people were American, because that's kind of more of an American thing. I think there's a lot of comparisons to Japanese existing cultures. I get a very, more, like Hello Kitty, but the more sort of
oh yeah, I know about Hello Kitty,
cute animal female character sort of thing. That's the vibe I get from this more than the Playboy bunny. I mean, obviously that tone is there too, but I mean, Lopunny, I think as a feminine design, I mean, especially in 3D, I think Lopunny was a great aerodynamic design, especially with those ears, but I mean, overall, it was kind of an odd one in terms of sprite art. I think a lot of stuff was missed when it was made.
To each his own, I guess. To each his own.
I don't know. I think Lopunny, again, another great design. I mean, you got the nice color balance again. It's got the nice movement, reflects a rabbit quite well, and then you got the red of the eyes mixed with the the red of the ears. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of her Mega Evolution myself, or its Mega Evolution, but I think, I mean, just looking at the base design, it's fine. It's a good balanced out design.
Alright, well, now we're going to move on to the starters, or at least some chosen starters that I chose to talk about this, in comparing gender thought aspects in terms of what the design looks like. And up next is everyone's personal favorite, Braixen. We talked about Braixen earlier. There's Braixen on the screen.
Still been trying to get a shiny one.
this just screams girl. That's what I get. I'm just gonna play the idiot here and say this just screams like a girl.
Braixen, I think it's borderline. I mean, Fox.
Yeah, it's based on witches, and witches were mostly. I'm not gonna say mostly, but when people think of witches, they think of like women in like witch hats and such, with broomsticks and waving magic wands and such. And that's pretty much what like Nintendo, I think, may have been going for with this look.
Yeah.
But once again, this is a starter, and all the starters, at least this far so far, have been 87.5% male. So does this scream male?
I think the only thing that actually, looking at it myself, that makes it even scream female to me is just the black, the black hip area where it kind of is meant to go out like kind of like a dress, only because that makes you think of witch and thusly makes you think of female. Honestly, I feel like Braixen kind of has the Lucario effect, where it's like, it can be either or depending on artist's interpretation. Of course, in the show and in the game, it's got a very kind of high-pitched cry, but I don't know. I feel like especially Delphox especially leans more towards the female, just because those long like leg things and a few more defined features. But Braixen, especially Fennekin and Braixen, I feel like are kind of standing on the line there, which
just the narrow tip,
where
you can sort of be male but still be female. Unfortunately, the internet sees this more as a female figure, sadly. So, and once again, only 12.5% of them are female.
I mean, there's something to be said about, Nintendo just wanting to keep those ratios the same for programming sake. Like,
yeah,
it's been that way, like, since genders were introduced to the game, to my knowledge. I mean, I don't think it's shifted at all. I mean, maybe they'll shift it this generation. I mean, I highly doubt it, but you never know.
We won't know till the game comes out.
Yeah.
And moving on towards our next one, you talked about Oshawott earlier, and now we're going to look at its evolved form. Samurott. I don't know why I said Camerot. Oh my goodness.
See, it's just
but now we got Samurott once again, and this screams guy. It just really looks like a guy. I mean, it's got the beard of a guy. I mean, I know it's based off of a samurai, but it just looks more like a guy Pokemon.
Weirdly enough, when I actually played Black and White, I did after the Diamond Pearl days. I did kind of the same consistent thing where I avoid spoilers for the Pokemon games. I want to go in with a sense, that new sense of discovering something new. When I went into Black and White, I picked Oshawott without having a single clue as to what it evolved into. I mean, I didn't know anything about Ambor. I didn't know anything about Serpivirier. I can never say its name.
Serpidor!
Yeah, and I mean, I got Oshawott, and of course it came out male, and I'm like, okay, and I just named it, I think I named it Nicodemus or something along those lines, and then...
Nicodemus, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Nicodemus, and then it ended up being this design, and I mean, anything with facial hair is arguably, quasi-masculine, but,
it's just a very masculine, it looks very masculine, and in this case, the gender ratio sort of fits well with it.
And the question here would be, why would, it makes more sense in the 3D games. At the same time, not. Why not have the female version have, with female and male Pikachu, have those different features on them? Why not have the female one not have this sort of beard and mustache combo that is, showing up on this design?
I don't know, but in any case, if you were to look at it and would your first thought be male or female without knowing what gender it was?
I mean, I probably would say male just because of the facial hair, but even then,
Yeah, that's what pretty much your first opinion would be. I mean, this again ties into why people dislike Brionne we were talking about earlier, and again what we're talking about here. People dislike Brionne because it's too girly. And that's something, in my opinion, that is something I just don't understand. Why does a Pokemon that looks girly have to conform to gender things. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. We have male Gardevoir. The Pokemon itself, without knowing its gender, looks very feminine, and yet it can be male. We were talking about Lopunny. It looks very feminine, but again, it can be male. And both of them have a 50-50 ratio of being male. And we just... Okay, go ahead. This is a debate after all. Go ahead.
Can I present one Pokemon that I think is the most comparable to Brionne based off of these observations?
Okay, go ahead.
Milotic. Do you remember Milotic from Ruby Sapphire days?
Oh my goodness! Of course I remember Milotic. I mean, I was one of those who found the one tile, the 1 in a million one tile on my Sapphire game, or was it Emerald? One of the two games. In any case, I found that one tile while I was fishing and found Feebas.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know much about the Feebas, but you know what? I liked the whatchamacallit. I liked giving them Pokeblocks, and you know what? I thought, why not give this some blue Pokeblocks? And eventually, it evolved into the beautiful serpent that's now on screen, Milotic. And I was like, what? This became that? And obviously, I got that opinion from Magikarp and Gyarados, but that's another story.
But comparing Brionne and Milotic's design, I mean, Milotic is same thing. You got the ribbons, you got the long, lengthy hair strands. The eyes are definitely, I'd lean more towards sort of a feminine thing, especially in a lot of different art. And yet, at the same time, when you think about it,
has a 50-50 male to female ratio.
It does, but at the same time, getting one as a male, given it's so rare, I rarely see people... I've seen Milotic's
complaining about it.
Grace, and I've seen Milotic's name Vincent, and yet I'd argue that Milotic is more feminine than Brionne, in its display. But yet, people are more okay with it being male.
Nobody complains about Milotic. Yeah. So they're just happy with the male Milotics as much as the females. Although female Milotics seem to be getting a lot more fan art, in my opinion.
Yeah, arguably. But that brings me back to the same point I've been going through, with Gardevoir, Lopunny, and everything. Milotic is a great design. Milotic has that mosaic tail. It has the color balance. Again, that nice beige that kind of interrupts the color so it's not too busy, while Brionne doesn't have that. And I think that might be the big difference. Maybe it's the fact that people just don't like the design, and, maybe they think it's because it's feminine, but not because it's just not a design that they appreciate. And that's also why people like it too. I mean, it is, and it's got a cute face. It's got those little tutu things, which I think honestly, in terms of a design, is kind of a nice little addition. But maybe that's the confusion there. These people, are like, oh, I hate it, it's too feminine. But it's not because it's too feminine. It's because it's just a feminine-looking Pokemon that wasn't designed with a lot of thought and process as compared to the other starter Pokemon. I think that might be the issue.
Well, if there's one thing I remember, it's that Nintendo does like to, lead us along, and if I remember correctly, they love to, quote-unquote, punish people for misjudging Pokemon by their books, or misjudge a book by its cover. But